All right, so I've got a ton of questions about gold IRAs lately,
Yeah.
and everyone wants to know if a gold IRA could help,
Right.
make retirement a little bit more comfortable,
More secure. Yeah.
more secure. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, gold IRAs, they kind of flip the script on how we usually think about retirement planning, right?
Totally.
Bringing in these tangible assets.
Mm-hmm.
We're used to stocks and bonds and all that,
Yeah.
but gold, it brings something totally different to the table.
Yeah, for sure. And everyone talks about diversification, but
Well,
it's so important,
oh, absolutely.
especially for retirees. And
Yeah.
I think there's always this underlying worry with traditional retirement accounts, being so heavily invested in stocks and bonds.
hmm
What happens when the market takes a dip, you know?
Well, that's the big risk, right?
Yeah.
I mean, market downturns, inflation, that can really hit the value of those assets pretty hard.
Yeah.
And that leaves retirees in a vulnerable spot.
hmm
So that's where gold can come in. Historically, it's been seen as a hedge against those things.
Okay, but let's say, someone like my parents, they've got a pretty diversified portfolio already.
Okay.
Real estate, some international funds, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that already offer some protection if the market takes a hit?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
And it gets to the core of, why gold is considered this safe haven asset.
hmm
You see stocks and bonds, they represent ownership in a company
Yeah.
or debt, right?
hmm
But gold is a finite resource.
Okay.
Its value isn't directly tied to how well a company's doing
Mm.
or even how a specific economy is performing.
Interesting.
So when the value of the dollar
Mhm.
fiat currency declines,
Yeah.
gold often holds steady or even goes up in value.
So it's almost like the opposite.
Yeah, it's kind of like an inverse relationship,
Yeah.
you know? That's why it's called a crisis commodity.
Hmm.
Tends to shine when everything else is looking
Yeah.
a little lackluster.
So it's less about, keeping up with the market
Exactly.
and more about having that safety net.
It's about preserving your purchasing power when things get shaky.
Gotcha.
Exactly. Think of it as an insurance policy
Mm-hmm.
for your,
Mm-hmm.
your savings
Okay.
against economic uncertainty.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Now, look, no investment is a guaranteed win,
Of course.
right? But it does offer a level of stability
Yeah.
and potential protection that those traditional assets might not,
Mm-hmm.
especially during times of, high inflation or when the market's volatile.
So we're starting to see how gold can fit into that bigger retirement picture.
Yeah.
But before we go any further, let's take a step back and
Sure.
just
Yeah.
define what a gold IRA actually is.
Okay.
Because I know it's a type of retirement account.
Yeah.
But how is it different from, the regular IRAs that we hear about all the time?
At its core, a
Yeah.
gold IRA lets you invest in actual physical gold,
Okay.
not like ETFs that track the price of gold.
Right. But like actual tangible gold bars and coins.
Wow.
And it's not just gold.
Okay.
You can also hold silver, platinum, palladium in this type of IRA.
So when we talk about a gold IRA, we're talking about holding real solid gold.
Yeah, the real deal.
That's pretty cool.
It is kind of cool, right? You're
Yeah.
holding a piece of history.
But how does it work? Like,
Yeah.
where's this gold stored?
Yeah.
Do you need to build a vault in your basement?
Thankfully, no basement vaults needed.
Okay, good.
Gold IRAs are regulated by the IRS,
Mm-hmm.
and a key rule is that the gold has to be held in a secure IRS-approved depository.
Right.
These are specialized facilities
Okay.
designed to store precious metals safely and securely.
So it's like having your gold professionally guarded in a high security vault.
Exactly.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about storing it yourself.
That makes me feel better already.
Yeah, no worries there.
But what are the benefits beyond that whole safe haven aspect?
Mhm.
Your research mentioned a few key advantages specifically for retirees.
Right.
What makes a gold IRA stand out from just buying gold coins and putting them under your mattress?
Well, one big benefit is that gold IRAs offer the same tax advantages
Oh.
as traditional IRAs.
Okay.
So your investments grow tax deferred,
Right.
meaning you don't pay taxes on any earnings until you withdraw the money during retirement.
Yeah,
That can make a big difference in the long run.
for sure, for sure.
Allows your retirement savings to potentially grow more efficiently.
Okay, so tax benefits, definitely a plus.
Definitely.
But let's talk about the potential downsides.
Okay.
I've heard some people say gold IRAs are complicated to manage.
Yeah.
Is there any truth to that?
I can see why people might think that
Yeah.
dealing with physical assets and IRS regulations sounds a lot more complex than,
Yeah.
buying stocks online.
Clicking a button? Yeah.
But the truth is, with the right provider,
Mm-hmm.
the process is fairly straightforward.
Oh.
They guide you through setting up the account,
Right.
buying the metals, managing the storage.
You don't need to be a financial whiz to make it work.
So it sounds like finding a reputable provider is key to making this whole gold IRA thing work smoothly.
Absolutely. Finding the right provider is crucial.
Okay, but what about the gold market itself?
Okay.
Isn't the price of gold pretty volatile?
Yeah, that's a common concern.
It makes me nervous.
I get it. It can feel a bit unpredictable.
Hmm.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
You're right. Gold prices do fluctuate in the short term.
Yeah.
But if we look at the bigger picture,
Okay.
gold has generally been less volatile than the stock market,
Okay.
especially over the long haul.
Interesting.
It's like, think of the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
It can have these wild swings
Yeah.
in a single day,
Oh, yeah.
influenced by all sorts of factors.
Right.
Gold tends to move more gradually.
Okay.
It's often seen as this stabilizing force in times of uncertainty.
So it's more about that steady long-term growth potential than trying to time the market for quick wins.
Exactly, you got it.
Okay.
It's like a marathon runner versus a sprinter.
I like that.
And when you think about retirement planning, which is a long game,
Yeah.
that stability becomes even more valuable.
Right.
And if we look back historically, gold has held its value over long periods,
Mm-hmm.
even during tough economic times.
Right.
That track record is reassuring for people
Yeah.
looking to protect their nest egg.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it gives you that peace of mind.
Peace of mind. Yeah, for sure. That long-term view is really interesting, but I remember back in college, my economics professor,
Okay.
he used to call gold a barbarous relic.
Oh, yeah.
I never really understood what he meant by that.
Uh-huh. That's a classic one.
Yeah.
It's a famous quote from John Maynard Keynes,
Okay.
a big-time economist from way back.
Okay.
He argued that gold's value
Mm-hmm.
was mostly based on tradition and superstition,
Mm-hmm.
and that modern economies needed something a
Yeah.
little more flexible.
So was he wrong then?
Oh,
Is gold still relevant today, or is it just...
it's a good question. It's a complex issue, really,
Yeah.
with good arguments on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Keynes had his reasons for criticizing gold.
Okay.
And to some extent, he was right.
Correct.
The world's not using gold as the only basis for currency anymore.
Right.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
Gold hasn't gone away.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a major player in the global economy.
Really?
Central banks use it as part of their reserves.
Well...
Investors use it to hedge against risk.
So even though the world has changed,
Yeah,
gold still has a place.
I think so. Yeah, it's precisely because of all the complexities and uncertainties
Yeah.
in the world today.
Right.
Fiat currencies,
Right.
geopolitical risks, market volatility.
All that stuff.
That's exactly why gold still appeals to people.
Okay.
It's a tangible asset
Right.
with a long history of preserving value,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that resonates with investors,
Makes sense.
especially when they're thinking about their long-term financial security.
Okay, so maybe my economics professor needs to update his notes a little bit.
Uh-huh. Maybe just a tad.
But speaking of risks, what about scams?
Ah, yes.
Your research mentioned that there are some shady characters out there.
Oh, there always are.
Yeah, preying on people's anxieties about retirement.
Yeah. Unfortunately, wherever there's money,
Right.
there are people trying to take advantage.
That's true.
The gold market's no different.
So what are some red flags to watch out for?
One of the biggest red flags is high-pressure sales tactics.
Okay.
If someone's pushing you to invest quickly
Mm-hmm.
without giving you time to think,
Yeah.
that's a big warning sign.
So anyone promising guaranteed returns
Oh, yeah.
or using scare tactics to rush you into a decision.
Stay away.
Okay, got it.
Another red flag is a lack of transparency.
Okay.
Reputable providers will be upfront about fees,
Right.
storage options,
Right.
the buying and selling
Makes
process.
sense.
If something seems too good to be true
Yeah.
or unclear,
Yeah.
it probably is.
All right. So it's about doing your research,
Absolutely.
checking out providers,
Yeah.
comparing fees,
Yeah.
and not being afraid to ask questions.
Ask all the questions.
Right. Okay. So let's say you found a trustworthy provider.
Okay.
What are some key factors to consider when choosing the right gold IRA?
It's like buying a car.
Yeah.
You wouldn't buy the first one you see.
Right.
You got to shop around,
Right.
do your research.
Mm-hmm.
Same with gold IRAs.
Okay.
4 main things to keep in mind.
Okay.
First, reputation.
Okay.
Look for a provider with a solid track record.
Right.
Positive customer reviews, a good rating with the Better Business Bureau.
Okay. So reputation is key.
It's crucial.
What about the nitty-gritty?
Okay, the fees.
Fees are huge.
Yeah.
Different providers charge different fees
Mm-hmm.
for setting up the account, managing the investments,
Okay.
storing the gold.
Okay.
Make sure you understand the fee structure up front.
Mm-hmm.
Compare it to other providers
Yep.
to make sure you're getting a good deal.
Right.
And don't be afraid to negotiate.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, sometimes you can get those fees lowered.
Yeah, that's true. What about the other factors?
Okay, so the third one is customer service.
Okay.
You want a provider that's responsive, knowledgeable,
Mm-hmm.
and able to answer your questions clearly.
Yeah,
You're trusting them with a big chunk of your savings.
right.
So you want to know they're there to support you.
Yeah, you want someone you can rely on.
Right, it's a partnership,
Exactly.
not just a transaction.
What's that last factor?
Storage options. Remember we talked about those IRS-approved depositories?
Right.
Yeah, well, the provider should offer storage in a reputable depository
Okay.
that meets those IRS requirements.
Okay.
You want to know your gold is safe and sound.
Right. Safe and sound.
Some providers even offer storage in multiple locations.
Oh, wow.
That can give you an extra layer of protection
Interesting.
against theft or natural disasters.
Wow. So there's a lot that goes into this.
Yeah, it's a whole
It's
process.
not just buying some gold.
It's about strategy.
It's about securing your future. Yeah.
Exactly.
But let's move away from the technical stuff for a sec
Okay.
and look at some real-life examples.
Sure.
Your research included some case studies
Uh-huh.
of retirees who benefited from incorporating gold
Right.
into their retirement plans.
Yeah, these stories are really interesting
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about those.
because they show how gold IRAs can be used
Mm-hmm.
to meet different goals
Yeah.
and address different concerns.
Okay.
The first case study features Sarah,
Okay.
a 65-year-old retiree
Okay.
who had that classic wake-up call
Yeah.
during the market downturn a few years back.
Yeah, those were scary times.
She realized her portfolio,
Mm-hmm.
which was mostly stocks and bonds,
Right.
was way more vulnerable than she thought.
That's a tough realization.
Yeah, especially when you're relying on that money
Right.
for retirement.
So what did she do?
Sarah decided to roll over part of her traditional IRA
Okay.
into a gold IRA. It wasn't about ditching stocks and bonds completely.
Right.
It was about adding that extra layer of protection
Gotcha.
against market swings.
Okay.
And it worked.
Really?
Within a few months, her gold holdings stabilized,
Wow.
giving her that sense of security
That's great.
that her other investments just weren't providing.
So it was about creating that balance
Yes, exactly.
in her portfolio.
Yeah, finding that stability.
Yeah.
It wasn't about getting rich quick.
Right.
It was about protecting what she had earned
Mm-hmm.
and making sure she had a steady income stream
Yeah.
during retirement.
So the gold acted like a safety net.
It was like an anchor,
Mm-hmm.
keeping her steady during the storm.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. What about the other case study?
Okay, the second one is about a couple,
Right.
John and Lisa.
Okay.
They were getting close to retirement,
Go.
and they were worried about inflation.
Yeah, that's a big concern for a lot of people.
Yeah, they'd seen how rising prices could really eat away at their purchasing power,
Yeah.
and they wanted to protect their savings
Mhm.
from being eroded by inflation.
Right. And that makes sense, especially with how prices have been going up lately.
It's a real concern.
So how did they use a gold IRA to address that?
They saw gold as a hedge against inflation.
Okay.
Their thinking was that as prices went up,
Mm-hmm.
the value of their gold would also go up,
Right.
helping them maintain their buying power.
So it was like a buffer
Yeah,
against
exactly.
inflation.
You're building a wall
Okay.
to hold back the rising tide of prices.
So again, it wasn't about getting rich quick.
No, it was about protecting their wealth
Right.
from slowly disappearing.
Yeah.
It was about maintaining their lifestyle
Mm-hmm.
during retirement,
Yeah.
making sure their money lasted.
It seems like these case studies show two different ways to use gold IRAs.
Yeah, they do.
What connects them?
I think the common thread is proactivity.
Okay.
Both Sarah and John and Lisa recognize
Yeah.
that the traditional retirement strategy.
Right. Might not be enough in today's world.
Yeah.
They took charge,
Mm.
explored their options,
Okay.
and built a plan
Mm.
that fit their needs.
Their own unique needs.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really inspiring to see people taking control of their futures like that.
It is.
And it just shows how important it is to stay informed and to be proactive,
Right.
especially when it comes to something as important as retirement.
Yeah, absolutely. And these stories actually bring up something we haven't talked about yet.
Okay.
The idea of having even more control
Mm-hmm.
over your gold IRA
Okay.
with something called a self-directed IRA.
Okay. Self-directed IRAs. I've heard that term thrown around.
Yeah.
but I'm not really sure what it means.
Okay.
How are they different from a regular IRA?
Think of a self-directed IRA, like a regular IRA, but with a supercharged engine.
Okay.
It gives you the freedom to invest in a much wider range of assets.
Oh, interesting.
Things like real estate, private businesses,
Hmm.
and of course, precious metals like gold. So instead of just stocks, bonds, mutual funds, you can
And
branch out.
yeah, you get to be more creative.
Okay.
You can invest in things that you believe in
Yeah.
or that have the potential for higher returns.
So you become the captain of your own retirement ship.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
You chart your own course.
But like with any ship, there are risks, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
A self-directed IRA requires more knowledge,
Okay.
more research,
Uh-huh.
more due diligence.
Mhm.
You're the one making the decisions
Right.
and managing the risks.
So it's not for everyone,
It's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
but for someone who really knows what they're doing
Right.
and wants more control over their retirement savings.
Exactly.
It sounds like a self-directed IRA could be a really powerful tool,
It can be. Yeah.
and especially for someone who's really bullish on gold.
Yeah. A self-directed gold IRA could be a way to really go all in on that strategy.
Okay.
But again, you got to do your research,
Mm-hmm.
understand the risks, and maybe even work with a financial advisor who specializes in this type of IRA.
Yeah, to make sure you're making the right moves.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's bring it back to gold IRAs in general.
Okay.
We've talked about a lot today,
We have.
from the basics to some pretty in-depth stuff.
Yeah, it's been a deep dive for sure.
For someone who's just starting to consider this as an option,
Okay.
what are the key things you'd want them to remember?
I think the main takeaway is that gold IRAs give you a way to diversify your portfolio
Mm-hmm.
and potentially protect yourself from risks
Okay.
that traditional investments might not cover.
Yeah.
Things like inflation and economic uncertainty.
Okay.
They can be a valuable tool
Mm-hmm.
for preserving your wealth
Right.
and making sure your savings last throughout retirement.
That's a great summary, and it's clear from our conversation today that there's no one right way
Right.
to plan for retirement.
Absolutely not.
What works for one person
Yeah.
might not work for another.
It's all about finding what's right for you.
And that's why it's so important to do your own research.
Right.
Talk to a financial advisor
Yep.
and really think about your own goals,
Mhm.
your risk tolerance,
Yep.
your overall financial situation
All of that.
before making any big decisions.
Couldn't agree more.
That's great advice. So before we wrap up,
Okay.
I have to ask,
Yeah.
given everything we've learned today,
Yeah.
how do you feel about gold IRAs personally?
Mm.
Would you consider adding one to your own retirement plan?
You know, I've always been more of a traditional investor,
Why?
but I have to say, after learning so much about this,
Yeah.
I'm definitely intrigued.
Huh.
The idea of adding gold to my portfolio
Yeah.
with its history of preserving wealth,
Mm-hmm.
that's something I'm going to look into.
Well, there you have it, folks. Even the experts are starting to see the appeal of gold.
Uh-huh. It's hard to deny its track record.
I have to say, this deep dive has really changed how I think about retirement planning.
Oh, yeah.
I used to think it was all about stocks, bonds, and mutual funds.
Yeah. But now I see the value in exploring all the options.
That's the power of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
It opens your mind to new possibilities.
It does.
And challenges what you thought you knew.
And that's what helps us make the best decisions.
Absolutely.
So let's leave our listeners with a final thought,
Okay.
something to think about
Yeah.
as they explore gold IRAs further.
Okay.
Given the economy we're in right now,
Mhm.
with inflation fears, geopolitical risks,
Well, the uncertainty.
could adding a gold IRA to your portfolio give you that sense of security
That peace of mind.
as you plan for retirement?
It's a question worth considering.
It really is, and it's a question we each need to answer for ourselves.
Yeah. Based on your own situation.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of gold IRAs.
It's been my pleasure.
We hope you found it insightful and empowering.
Yeah. Hopefully you learned something new.
And remember the journey to a secure and fulfilling retirement.
It's a marathon.
Yeah, not a sprint.
Take your time. Keep learning. Keep exploring.
And keep striving.
And create the future that you envision.
That's